Hey people, so a few days ago, the Nuxt team announced version 2 of the content module, and in this video I'll just show you how I went about creating this website with Nuxt content version 2. We have a simple little blog here, and then we have a page that displays some products that you can purchase and all of that good stuff. No purchasing functionality is in place. This video or this site is just to show what you can actually accomplish with the content module. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Alright, so we have a fresh terminal open in VS Code, and we're just going to create our Nuxt 3 application with npx Nuxt init. And then we'll just install our dependencies with npm i. Alright, now that all the Nuxt dependencies are added, we're just going to add the content module to our project by running npm install @nuxt/content. And we also need to add this content to the modules key in our Nuxt config file. So while that's running, just go here, modules, and we just need this part. Save that. Now that we have the file saved, we're just gonna add a few more packages to our project before we start. We're gonna add Iconify for view, the TailwindCSS module, and the TailwindCSS typography plugin. So let's save all of these, and we want to save these as dev dependencies. So we put the dev dependency flag at the end of it. Press enter. Alright, now that the dev dependencies are added, I'm just going to go ahead and add the Tailwind module to this array. Hit save. Alright, now that we have the Nuxt Tailwind module added to the modules array, I'm just going to go ahead and add our configuration for the content module. And basically what's happening here is this TOC, which stands for table of content key. It just controls the behavior of the table of contents generation. So the depth that you're seeing here is the maximum heading depth to include in the table of contents, and the search depth is the maximum depth of nested tags to search for heading. Alright, so Nuxt content uses Shiki to provide syntax highlighting for a few of the components that they use, and in the near future you'll actually see how this thing comes into play. Now that we have the configuration set, let's go ahead and set up TailwindCSS. In order to get our Tailwind config file, we'll need to run the init command provided by TailwindCSS. So that's npx TailwindCSS init. And once this file is generated, I'll just copy and paste in the configuration that I have here and explain it. So at the top, we're importing the colors from Tailwind. This content key or content array tells Tailwind what files and folders to check for CSS classes. The dark mode, this enables dark mode in Tailwind CSS, and it tells it to check for dark mode via the class name. This theme object, we are able to extend different utility classes that Tailwind provide, and right here I'm extending the colors utility classes, and I'm providing my own primary color. which is violet. The default is violet 700, and then I just spread the rest of violet colors across this. The font family, I'll be using Intel for this, and the plugin that I installed earlier, TailwindCSS typography, will help us to style our markdown properly. With all of that in place, the next thing that we want to do is we want to add our CSS file. So I'm just going to add assets/CSS/tailwind.css. And in this CSS file, I'm just going to copy and paste a few classes. So this is the link to the inter font family. These are the Tailwind directives, and I created a few custom classes to help me with styling the website. And this is the global transition for our pages. This is the CSS for the global transition for our pages. So enter and leave active, transition all, 3 seconds in and out. And the enter from, leave to, it will move from an opacity of 0 to 1, and then back to 0 when leaving, and transform scale from 0.99 to 1, and then back to 0.99. So let's save this and our Tailwind configuration, and then let's move to adding our content folder and our pages to the application. Alright, so to add content to our website, we will need to create a content folder. Now, the content module will read all the different folders inside of this content folder, and it will read the files inside of these subdirectories. So the content module actually allows us to prefix our folder and file names with different numbers for ordering purposes. So the first folder that I'm going to create is called 1 blog, and as you can imagine, this folder will house all of our blog files. Within this blog folder, I'm going to create another directory called Express, and within this Express directory, I'm going to create a file called 1 getting started. Now this is a markdown file, and it will be displayed when a user visits one of our articles to read more about what's in it. Before we continue, the Nuxt team actually recommends that we install an extension called MDC. It provides syntax highlighting and colon matching for markdown components. And this extension was developed specifically for Nuxt content. So you can go ahead and install this. So inside of our getting started .md file, I'm not going to type out everything that I have here. I'm just going to copy and paste the content in and save it. But essentially, this is what it looks like in Markdown. So this is the default preview inside VS Code. So you can see our content will look something like this on the page. So let's go ahead and save this file. And then what we want to do is to update the app.view file and change this Nuxt welcome to Nuxt page. Save that. And create our index page. So pages index.view. Inside our index page, we're going to have a nav component and the main area. on this div, I'm going to give it a class of min height screen. Save that. Now we can't run the application just yet because this nav component has not been created. So I'm going to go over here and create that nav component. Alright, so inside this nav component, I'm going to paste the navigation component in. So as you can see, we have the nav tag, and it has a class of flex. Items are centered, it justifies space between. It has a height of 80 pixels, and on small screens, the padding left and right is 5%, on large screens it's 15%. Our logo will be this Nuxt link, and the utility classes are bold, the text is a bit larger for both screens, and then this letter C is using the primary color. And as you can see, the nav element, these are the utility classes, and we're just looping over the links, and these are the links. The links are just objects with the name. This will be displayed in the header. This icon string will be rendered by Iconify for view, and this is the page that this link will take us to. And you can see that's happening here. So this is a Nuxt link. It's going to the link within this object. It's displaying the name here, and below the link we just have a little bar that will animate in and out when we hover over the link. So let's just save that and run our application, and then head over to our browser to see what it looks like. And there we go. We have our navigation link in place. We have the link to blog and the link to our little store. All right, so now that we know that the nav is working, or it's being displayed properly, let's go ahead and add our homepage markup. So first, we have this hero section that says check out our latest blog posts and learn, share, and grow. In our TailwindCSS file, I have this rainbow text class, and what this does is it just applies a background gradient to the text. So let me save this, and let's just jump back to Chrome to see what that looks like. And there we go. This is what it looks like. So back to VS Code. We want to add the section that actually renders the blog post. All right, so now that we know that the hero section is being displayed properly, let's get our content from the content folder via the module and add it to our home page. So let's add setup to the script, and we want to use async data. This composable will fetch some data for us on the server side before the page gets rendered, and we can actually use that within our markup. So here we're getting back the data from user sync data, and we're calling it blog nav, and the function that we're actually using to get this data, it's another composable from the content module called fetch content navigation. And this fetch content navigation, actually you can pass the query content composable to it to get just the navigation for a specific folder. So here I'm using the query content composable to get the navigation for the blog folder. So let's save this and jump back over to Chrome to see if we're actually getting that data inside our application. So let me refresh this page, And let's just inspect. And there we go. We're actually getting back the navigation from our content module. You can see that it's giving us the path and the different children within this blog navigation. So the children will represent the subdirectories, and if the subdirectories have files within them, it will have a children key as well. As you can see here, this subdirectory, it's called Express because this is the name of the folder, and this is the path blog/express. As you realize, the numbering is not included in the path. It's just there for ordering purposes for the content module itself. So let's just jump back to VS Code and let's just bring in the markup that will display our content. All right, so we have the markup in, and I'll just walk you through what's happening here. We have this text blog post to let our user know that the information below, they're actually blog posts. We'll be iterating over the children array within the first array of this blog nav that was returned down here, and we're just assigning a key here. The H1 will display the title, so that would be the folder Express in our case, and then we're checking if this folder has any files or subdirectories within it. If that's the case, then we'll loop over the files or directories within this navigation, and then we will display the title here and a link to actually view that blog. If there's no children key within the navigation that's currently in iteration, then we'll just display this text that says getting started, and it will link to the details of that file. So let me save this, head back to Chrome and see what it looks like. And there we go. If we refresh this, we see where we have the folder name and then the files that are within that folder. So in our case, we had a blog folder, Express folder, and then getting started with the Express file, which would be this file. The reason why you're seeing what is Express.js here is because within, let me just jump back to VS Code. Within our getting started file, this is the first H1 that is visible. So this is the text that you're seeing in the browser. All right, so now that we have the first item in the navigation being displayed, let's just go ahead and add the other files. I'm just gonna pull them over from here. So we need the second one for Express. And then there is a third article that is not linked to Express, but it's just a file stating how you'd add TailwindCSS to Nuxt 3. So with all of these files in place, let me just check to see if the server is still running. It is. And let's jump back to Chrome to see what's being displayed there. And as you can see, we have our Express folder displaying the different files, and this add TailwindCSS to Nuxt 3 blog, and it just says getting started because this is an actual markdown file and not a folder. Alright, let's jump back to VS Code and look at how we can actually create a page that will display the details of the different articles. So back to VS Code. Let's close this file, this one, this one, and this one. And we want to add a new page, and I'm going to call this new page, the folder is going to be blog, and then I'm going to do a catch-all route within that blog folder. So it's blog, and to do a catch-all in Nuxt 3, you create the name of the file within square brackets, 3 dots, and give the file a name. I'm just gonna call it slug.view. Alright, so within our slug.view file, we're just gonna go ahead and start adding our markup. So we're gonna add our template and then the navigation bar. Then we're gonna add our main tag, and within this main tag, we're just gonna create an article element and add some styles to it. Within this article element, I'm going to create the table of contents, and this will only be displayed on larger screens. What it will do is it will check the table of contents array that I'll be creating soon, and it will be displaying the H2 to 6 links within this table of content. And when you click on this link, it will take you to the specific area of the page. Next, I'm going to add this client only tag, and Nuxt content actually provides us with this component content renderer, and it takes in the blog that you get back from the content module as the value and displays it on the screen. The pros classes that you're seeing here, they're actually coming from the TailwindCSS typography plugin. You'll see in just a second how this works. This blog link is a custom class that I will create soon, and it will just add some styles to different areas of the Markdown file. So in our script tag, I'm just going to add the call to get the data for our blog. So here I'm using the useRoute composable that Nuxt provides, and I'm getting the slug param, which is this thing, and I am replacing all the commas within that param, and I'm replacing them with a /. I'm sending this slug in the query content composable to find one, so that we can get the article that belongs to this slug. Once that's done, I'll create this computed property that will return the table of contents, and what's happening here is it's checking if the blog value is not null, and if it is, I'll just get the excerpt from the blog value and get the children. This is an array of items, and check if it's actually there. If it's not, we return an empty array. We create an array here to store the table of content that will be returned, and then these are the tags that I'm checking for inside of the items array. And for each of them, if the tags include the tag that's on the current item, then I'll just push that ID, title, and the depth to the table of contents and return it here. Next up, we have the UZ composable, and this allows us to set the title for our web page dynamically. So you can see here, we're just getting the title of this blog and adding it to the page title. Last but not least, this is the blog link class that I created, and you can see where I'm just styling the links a bit differently, and I'm using the before utility class to add this hashtag before each of the links within the document. So let's just go ahead and save this and head back to Chrome to see what that looks like. So I'm going to refresh this page and then click on any of these links and we get a 404. This happens sometimes when you add a new file to your code and you don't restart the server. So let's just jump back to VS Code and restart our server. All right, once the server is up and running again, we can refresh this page. And there we go. We have our article being displayed. And this is what it will look like. This is the hashtag that I was telling you about. I had this hashtag before each of the links within the document. And this is the table of contents. If I click on it, it should scroll to the location in the document, but that's not happening now. And the reason for that is we actually need to add some router options to Nuxt for it to know that, hey, when I click on this and there's a hashtag, you should scroll to that area. So let's just jump to VS Code again and get that sorted out. All right, so now in VS Code, what we want to do is create a file called router.options.ts, and this file has to be created within a folder called app in the root of our project. So let's create app router.options.ts, and I'm just going to paste the content that I have in the router options. That's actually working. All right, so the router config that you're looking at here, I actually got this from the creator of Nuxt himself. He did an example of how to use the content module as well, and this config actually works. So let's save this and restart our server. Head back to Chrome and see what it looks like over there. All right, so now when I click on these links, as you can see, it's scrolling to the different location in the file. Nice. And we can click on the content page and it takes us to home screen. Click on this file and we see the contents of this file as well. Table of contents working. Good. Okay, so that pretty much does it for the blog side of our website. As you can see, the content module, it gets the data and it provides us with enough components to display the data as well. So with that said, let's start working on the product side or the e-commerce side of our little website. All right, to get started on the merch side of our website, I'm going to create a new folder inside our pages directory, and we're going to call it merch, and let's add an index page. All right, so now that we create our index page for the merch page, let's just go ahead and add the markup. So we'll add our single file component, then the navigation bar, then the main tag, and then this little header section or hero section. It just says stay up to date with the latest fashion trends. Again, I'm using the rainbow text class to color this latest fashion trends text. Then we want to add some space between the hero section and the section that will display our products. And here we add the filter category label. This button will be next to the filter category, and it will only be displayed if the active category is set to null. And as you can see, when you click on this button, it will call this function called set category and pass it a value of null. Here we just loop over the different categories for the different products, and we have a button that will display the name of the category, and we have some conditional styling or conditional classes here. So whenever the current category is active, it will have this purple color and purple text and a light purple background, but when it's not active, the background will be slightly gray. Here we have a grid, and we'll be looping over our different products and displaying them in a card. But before displaying them in a card, we actually have this little discount component, and this will only be displayed if the active category value is set to null and the current index is 0. So it will be the first item in the grid if active category is null. After that, we have the cards that will display the different products. So you can see here where it's a Nuxt link and it's going to the details of this product. We have the image, and then we have the title and the price. This format price function will actually convert the float or integer value into a currency string. So in our script setup, we'll be using the user sync data to call the products from the merchant folder within the content folder. So inside of this content folder, I want to create another folder called merch, and then I'm going to add this JSON file, and it has some product information inside of it. This JSON file I actually got from the Fake Store API, so shout out to the fakestore.api.com for the products. I made a mistake here. I should have named this to.merch, so it should be to.merch. Right. Alright, so now that we're making the call to get the contents within this JSON file, we have this reduce function that's called on the body that's returned. Whenever you query content for a JSON file, if the JSON file is an array, it returns the content within the body key. If it's just a single object, it will just merge this object with the different properties and send back a single object in the query content. So we run this reduce function on the body, and then we check to see if the array has the product category inside of it, and if it doesn't, then we just push that category inside of it until we've iterated through the entire list of products. This is the active category variable, and initially it's set to null. And this is the set category function. What this will do is it will accept a category and set the active category to the category that's passed in, and then we'll update the query param of our URL. This way, if the user visits a product and then comes back to the list of all products, if they had selected a category, that wouldn't be lost. So upon page load, we will actually get this, check to see if the query has the category key inside, and if it does, we'll set the active category to this value. This is the format price function. It takes in the price and returns it formatted to the US currency. This filter products variable is a computed property, and within it we'll just check to see if the active category is null. If it is null, then we'll just return all the products. If it's not, then we'll just return the products where the category is exactly equal to the active category. Last but not least, the use head composable. We will just use this to set the title for this specific page. So if we save all of this, and let's just restart our server. And visit Chrome. Alright, so the page just got reloaded. So let's go to our merch link, and there we go. Our products are displayed. Now you're seeing this blank box because the discount component was not created, but you can see where if I click on a specific category, all of the products for that category are being displayed, and the same goes for the rest of them. And once we clear it, we see all the products again. So let's just jump back to VS Code and create this discount component. So within the components folder, I'm just going to go ahead and create discount view, and let me just paste the code in here. So the discount card, it will just say up to 50% off, and it will have a button that says get discount. Of course, there's no functionality in place because we're really just focusing on what the content module can do for our website. All right, with the discount component created, let's just restart our server and head back to Chrome to see if it's being displayed properly. And there we go. Our discount card is being displayed properly and working as it should. Now the last thing that we want to add is the details page for our product. So let's just jump back to VS Code and get that rolling. Alright, so within VS Code, in our merch folder, I'm going to create a dynamic route, and we create that by putting the name of the route param within square brackets, view. Alright, so now that we have the dynamic page created for our merch details, let's just go ahead and add our single file component. So we'll add a nav, and then the main section. Within the main section, we're going to have a flex container, and the first item within this flex container is going to be the product image. So you can see here, this image is displaying the product image as its source, and the alt tag is the title of the product. In our second flex container, we're going to have the product category at the top of the page, and then the product title right below it. Under the product title, we're going to get the rating for the specific product, and we're going to loop over that value. Assuming that the maximum rating will be 5 stars, we're going to use the icon component, and then we're going to add this icon to the component. The dynamic classes that you're seeing here, if the product rating is greater than the current index, then we're going to color that star purple. If not, it's going to be a light gray color. Next to the stars, we're going to have just the number of reviews that the product got in total, and then the price is going to be right below the reviews. So you can see where this format price function is coming into play again, and we just pass it the price. Below the price, we have the product description, and below the description, we have the add to cart button. Beside the add to cart button, we will have another icon, and it will be a heart icon that will eventually give the user the option of making the item a favorite. Now in our script tag, we have the ID of the current product that we're viewing, and we're importing this icon component from Iconify. Next, we want to make the call to the content module. We want to search the merch folder, and we only want the body from the merch folder. Once we get this, then we will find the product within the array or the JSON file that has an ID of the ID that's coming from our route param. Here we have the format price function that returns a price as a formatted string, and then we're setting the title of this page to be the product title for the specific price. If we go ahead and save this, we'll need to restart our server again. And once our server is up and running, we can just head back to Chrome, refresh our page, and then now we can just click on any of the products, and it will take us to the details for that specific product. So you can see we have the category here, the name of the product, the reviews, price, the description, and the add to cart and favorite button. So that's basically it, guys. Very quick rundown of the Nuxt content. I am sure the Nuxt team will make more improvements to the module. It's a module that has helped a lot of people in the community to accomplish great things, and hopefully you guys learned a lot from this, and you can just go out there and create your own website with this module. So until next time, have a great one, guys.